The debate is, are America's responsibilities around the world exceptional? Danley, you're going to say yes, the world's peace and prosperity rest on American power. AJ, you're going to argue the opposite. No, we cannot be the world's policeman. You have 5 minutes to come up with your opening statement, starting now. Okay, so you say the world's peace and prosperity rest on American power. Tell me now, in 2 minutes, why?
The world's peace and power represents... Okay, so Americans should be the world's policemen because we're the only ones who can do counterinsurgency. And for those of you guys who don't know what counterinsurgency is protecting the population. And if you protect the population, then you can get info from them about people who might be bad people. Plus, we wanted to prevent genocide. Genocide is just killing innocent people. We don't want another Holocaust to happen, like in World War II. We also have the biggest economy, so we can afford it. We can help them with all their struggles. We want to intervene. We want to help them. Innocent people shouldn't be dying for no reason. Yeah.
Okay. AJ, no, you say. We cannot be the world's policeman. Tell me why in 2 minutes.
Well, like my colleague Calder said, we can't speak or govern for every country. America has their own problems to deal with, and not every country wants help. We can be a kind of idol for all the countries, like how we have capitalism and how we have our, minds together and how we have a good government. But at the same time, we can't afford to get any more casualties whenever we're going into wars like the Vietnam War. We can't go into wars that have nothing to do with us and just say, oh, hey, we're going to help this country because we want to. I mean, if it was going to be threatened to become a World War III, then I could see that, like how Japan bombed Pearl Harbor. And we got involved in World War II because we physically got attacked. So I could see if we're getting attacked and then we join another war and we become the world's policeman. But at the same time, if a certain war has nothing to do with us, or even a country's problems has nothing to do with us, we're not the world's babysitters. So we can't just go around saying, hey, we want you to be capitalist, so we're going to start a war with you. Every country has their own leader for a reason. Their country's leaders can handle things the way that they handle them, like I've said before, unless if it's going to start a World War III or a war that's going to involve us. We shouldn't be involved in any kind of wars because of the casualties we'll gain. More people are going to die, and more blood's going to be on America's hands.
Okay. Dan, your counterpoint. You mentioned genocide. This year marks the 20th anniversary of the deployment of U.S. troops to Bosnia, the first time that U.S. military personnel were specifically committed to prevent a genocide, or to stop a genocide between Bosnians and Serbians, specifically Serbians killing Bosnians for their religion. But you have argued in favor of that position. But why should the fact that two people 6,000 miles away can't get along with each other, why is that our business? Why should we care if they're killing each other? Why should we have cared in Bosnia? Why should we have cared in Rwanda? Why should we have cared in Cambodia? All the modern instances of genocide since World War II. Why is that in American interests to stop? You have a minute.
We should have cared, because if we wouldn't have intervened, then all those people would have died, and it would have become genocide, and it would have been like another Holocaust where all the Jews died. And that's not a good thing that we want. So we should intervene and help those people who are also defenseless and can't fend for themselves.
Okay. Your rebuttal, AJ. You have 1 minute, beginning now.
I hate to sound heartless, but why should we care about other people who are being killed? They're not in our country. America has their own problems to deal with. I'm sorry, but that's just the way it is. Not only that, it's in another country. It has nothing to do with us personally. I mean, I just had a good point. But
you have over 30 seconds to find it.
All right, well, let's go with Donald Trump. We have Donald Trump to deal with.
Oh, you knew it was going to come up sooner or later, people. You knew it was going to happen.
We have Donald Trump to deal with. We have to get America involved in that. But while our troops are out there fighting a war that doesn't involve us, now that we're in Iraq, I can understand how we're there because they personally threatened to harm us. But if we're out fighting other wars,
5 seconds.
there's no point.
Okay. AJ, counterpoint to you, saying we cannot be the world's policeman. This year, or this week actually, President Obama ended a 40-year arms embargo against Vietnam because what the Vietnamese wanted to do is they are worried about China, and they're worried about Chinese expansionism. So they're actually looking at us as a potential ally. So Vietnam is communist in theory. China is communist in theory. Those two should be allies. Instead, the Vietnamese trust us more than the Chinese. So if we do withdraw our influence from around the world, doesn't that just mean that bad actors like China and Russia and Iran will step in and will actually make the situation worse? Isn't America's influence better than theirs? You have 1 minute.
Yes, America's influence is better than theirs. But as I keep saying, if it doesn't have to deal with us, then why should we be babysitting other countries now that Vietnam is looking to us, and if they ask us for help, then we can kind of make a treaty with them. But either way, they're communist, and if America is going against Russia because, well, if they're not friends nor enemies with Russia, then why are we going to be friends nor enemies with Vietnam? Now that we fought for them but we lost is another thing. But at the same time, like I keep saying, there's no point in fighting it if it has nothing to do with us. But if it escalates, then maybe we could step in.
Okay, Daniel, your response, 1 minute, go.
So if we don't help them, then it hurts us more because then they trust others more than we do. So they're going to go talk to other people who will have more trust than them. So they'll go to them and they'll have more power in that situation than we will. And we have to respect the right that they trust us, and we have to help them if they're in a situation in need.